Road to 50.
Road to 50. Here we are. Sitting now with Marc the Merc.
That's it.
Machine gun mouth and geek mind. We're here to. What are we discussing today for episode 46?
The only thing to discuss. This is the entire discussion
on Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's it.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get to music.
Road to 50, 46, baby.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You excited? You excited that 50 is marching?
I'm the dry. I love it. That's my favorite thing.
I still love and I still think about when the first time we actually tried to record. I'm talking around the time of Avatar. Like when
It's a Watchmen Avatar, right around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we I remember like we were supposed to like meet up, I think like at a diner to map it out. But even like thinking back then, like I'm almost like, how are we expecting to record?
I don't know.
Like what equipment? Like there was no equipment. I think we were like we might have been just recording directly onto your Mac. That might have been.
That was the idea.
That was the big idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, like, dude, a couple years went by, right? Life goes up and down. And, yeah, you and I ended up in different spots at different points, but always stayed in contact. I think that was, like, the biggest thing. Even when we had gaps, there was still, like, a pickup in conversation. Like
there would always be something, and then, like, nothing really stopped. So if one of us would contact one another, it would just be, like, an hour.
Yeah.
And we like when then it was like, how's your life? Doesn't matter. Like we never talked about that.
Yeah, it was all like because I remember like there was a stretch where like I wasn't even sure like I like if you had kids or not. Like I even like
That's probably right.
Yeah, I wasn't even like I know you may.
It wasn't a conversation that we were supposed to have.
Yeah, I know like you may have like mentioned it, but it was always like just focused on movies.
It's always about Batman.
Yeah, and but yeah, so like even now, dude, like we're doing so much with Dream Warriors. We got different types of like content that we're experimenting with. We were just talking the plans for post 50, and post 50 is going to be. I think it's going to be like the better type of run. I think it's going to be more of what Dream Warriors needs to be. It really is going to be like you're going to come here and do your solo episodes. I'm going to get everyone here to do solo episodes now, and then we're going to start pairing Dream Warriors up with one another. We're going to do individual segments at this point. We're going to like per guest or per host or co-host, whatever you want to say. Like people are going to have their own like themes and kind of angles that they go for.
Stuff lined up. I already have it.
Yeah, and we'll have segments designed around that. And the one thing I like is I kind of like what we're doing with the remote movie reviews and conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got good feedback on our
and you know what,
our
like
Baby Driver episode.
That's harder than I ever thought it would be to like see something get stimulated, like to where like your brain's on fire. Like you're kind of like raging on the inside out of like adrenaline and excitement and dopamine, and then you gotta sit down and vocalize it, control it, and not kind of like not say simple things, like to really add like a critique to it. And I don't know, like I think that's something we're just gonna get better with. And usually that's hard for me because usually there's alcohol involved. So
usually
I have that to deal with.
Well, I think with the Baby Driver episode, I thought what was funny was I had a group of friends that listened to the podcast, and my one friend said like, man, he's like, I really enjoyed that movie until I listened to you destroy it. And I was like, look, I still like it. I'm not saying that I don't like it. My issue is were the issues that I had. Go back to previous episodes. But I'm saying
Yeah.
the issues were just that I didn't like buy the romance. Did the third act happen? Did post him going to jail? Did like from the bridge on? Did that even happen?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, because even the bridge is
Yeah.
like a dream. It's dream filters. It's dream
Yeah.
shot. It's dream processing.
Yeah. And then it goes to Pleasantville.
Yeah,
And then it
and the
goes.
Pleasantville thing was a weird callback within that movie
Yeah.
because they went Pleasantville, and then I was like, yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Like I was
I don't know if it was
excited.
exactly. It wasn't be like.
I was like Pleasantville, and
Yeah.
then they went back to it as if it's supposed to be like
And then they did
like
tinges of color in that.
yeah.
But when he comes out, there's a perfect rainbow. Like I just don't know if it's supposed to be. I don't know the logic, the logic throughout the film was one thing, and then when they do all this weird logic at the end, it's so outlandish. Like I don't know if it was supposed to happen. I don't know. I just don't know.
I'll tell you, just talking to you, because I've been watching and rewatching this movie obsessively. All of this that what we're discussing now sounds like Blade Runner, Harrison Ford replicant ? To where like if you watch that movie thinking he's a replicant, it makes no effing sense. It makes no sense. Okay, but it's a fun thing to play with, and it's almost like this is where this movie is. Like, is a portion of the movie like a dream sequence ? I don't know, but that's for another discussion. Real quick though, so I wanted to see if you were familiar with an '80s movie that I just had the pleasure of experiencing
It was
for
rad.
the first time.
With the ass.
I was so here's the thing. I'll tell you a little bit of a story. I was so into this movie that I'm about to get into, that this movie literally grabbed me. It grabbed me and it stared me in the face. And the entire time I'm watching this movie, like I'm getting frustrated. And the way I'm getting frustrated is like I know the guy who directed this movie didn't pop in Hollywood, didn't have like breakthrough success. Not the way I think someone like that would now, because like now Hollywood does reward like initial
They give
success.
them a Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, right. Like this guy, like I feel like this guy would have directed a Star Wars movie. But I was so into this movie that when you came in today, you saw my doors decorated with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So one of my female friends snuck into the building that I live in and did that at the afternoon, because I left the office early. I was here at 3. She did it at 4. I was that into the movie where I didn't even hear her doing that. And she knew I was here the entire time, because she texted me. She was like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know, I'm home doing this." And whatever. That's how into this movie I was. I didn't even hear someone decorating.
They're going to be
my door.
Very intrigued or very disappointed in what you say next.
It's called the Hitcher.
I don't think I ever watched it. I know about it, but
Howard. Okay.
Yeah. Is that John Daly direct that? Am I right on that?
Not John Daly. No.
John Dahl?
Not Dahl.
Why am I thinking of that?
Let me just
say it's John. I'm going to go with the director's name is John. See how my brain is going here.
The Hitcher, 1986. Just so we know. Robert Harmon.
No, I'm wrong on that.
Yeah. Okay. So, this movie, I never seen a movie that had tension and almost like a real life stake, like, from so early. Like I'm talking maybe less than a minute into the movie. Like you're almost like, oh my God, like, what the hell would I do in this situation? I have no idea. And you think the movie, like, you come in as someone who's seen a lot of movies, you know there's going to be like an escalation. There's going to be a little bit of a stairway. We're just going up the levels of the stairway. So knowing where this movie's going from where it begins, you're almost like, wow, like where is this thing ending? And I'm telling you, the movie had it all. The movie did it all. Insanely low budget. And the times where it kind of broke itself, where it just little things maybe did not feel right, or there was just some leaps of logic, like easily dismissed. And so anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk about
It's
that real
almost like a
quick.
thriller horror, though, right? It's like a sort of.
It's more like action thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It starts as thriller horror,
I'll have to watch.
and then it kind of like going into Baby Driver. It is kind of like Boy Meets Girl, but it's within the context of life versus death. So even when he meets the girl and they're kind of into each other and they kind of trust each other, it has a pressure of death.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like there was so much of Baby Driver that was like bouncing back. I'm just like, man, I should have felt like this when they're talking at the diner. I should have felt like this when the whole gang is in the diner. Like
Mm-hmm.
I should have, and not that I fault Baby Driver for not being that, but sometimes it's good to have compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to have that, like those frames in your mind sometimes, so you can identify what's not working, like easier or better. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, The Hitcher, and then the other movie I watched this week was um, Gods of Egypt.
Oh,
Alex,
it's a hate watch.
okay, so here I did a little bit of research for that. Okay, so that movie was set up to be a franchise. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted multiple movies. They kind of did like a writers' room type thing where they knew what they wanted to set up in the first movie.
Who directed that? Was that the?
Proyas, Alice
Okay.
Proyas, who did the greatest comic book adaptation of all time, The Crow. Because it's a straight up adaptation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like it's except for like the visual of the horse getting killed in the barbed wire.
Right.
Like other than like the super weird things that are in the Crow comic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the Crow's pound for it. It's a subgenre of comic book movies,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like the gritty adaptation or the gritty pre-boom, like low budget. It's still it's above like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Road to Perdition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's above Ghost World. Like it goes on and on. Like there's such a style to that movie, so good in fact that he continues to get work. Like
I think he turns things in on budget. I think these, you know what I mean. If you go through, Dark City, I think is very good as well.
yeah.
I think Dark City is great actually. Dark City. I guess he did iRobot, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was supposed to be. It's okay. But yeah, I think he just does movies. There's a couple things. I think he did some other stuff, but like
Yeah,
I think he just delivers.
yeah.
He's like a Ron Howard. He's like
did.
a
Yeah, no, I think he.
Ron Howard editing right now. By the way,
Yeah,
other people's work.
yeah, no, I would put Ron Howard way above this guy because this
Mhm.
guy kind of has two notable things. Howard is well, we were talking about directors that hit just about every genre, like every genre or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I guess Howard would potentially classify with Han Solo because he would knock out sci-fi.
He didn't do a horror. Well,
He
Da
didn't do
Vinci.
horror.
Well, he does like the thriller Da Vinci stuff, which is
Yeah, but he didn't do straight up horror.
no.
He would have to. Okay, so let's fax him.
Wait. Well, what about the Kate Blanchett one was horror-ish.
The Missing.
Yeah.
I would have to rewatch that. But
I remember
I would have
I remember that being, I swear everything is just like good like B plus C.
Mhm, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just can't.
I don't know. I still love Parenthood, especially that scene when the lights go out and it's the vibrator gag. Where Steve Martin's
Mhm.
like, I got a candle, and the lights go on, and it's a vibrator.
I don't know. That'd be worth a watch.
Which
That'd
is
be worth a
kind of
rewatch.
funny because in the context of that scene, they're like in the living room
Mhm.
and the lights get killed. So is a vibrator in a drawer within the living room?
Yes, it's in a secret
That's
drawer.
a dirty mom.
I know.
That's a dirty mom. Okay. I just want. Okay, can I make one statement about
Yeah,
this
your show.
movie?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's,
Oh, well, let's have some. Wait, just quick context on this.
yes.
So we have not talked about this at all.
No. Which I love, right? Are you
I love
excited?
that. That's why I did that. Actually,
Yeah.
I started to listen
Well,
to your show, like the pre-reaction.
and you stopped with the
I stopped
you
with the Tony
Jersey Devil.
with the Tony to draw. No.
Did
I knew a little bit of that story, and then I was like, I'm just gonna turn this off because I don't know when it's gonna turn. I don't know when you're gonna go
Yeah.
into it. So I just stopped
Yeah.
it, and I was like, you know what? I know I'm seeing him a day or two. We're gonna record on Sunday.
nice. Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, no, and that's why I did that, so people would be able to get some level of like content before if they want to know. Next time that will be set up though. Like I already told you. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to lead in and tell people what time marker they can go to avoid any spoilers. Not that I really care. I really do think I think as a conversation, everyone's beyond spoilers. I think everyone knows like what's at stake.
Uncle Ben died.
Yeah, Uncle Ben died. Um,
Spoilers.
yeah.
It was his fault.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so here.
Peter Parker's fault.
Yeah,
But we did not talk about it.
no, and we allowed ourselves not to talk about it too.
Yeah.
Like I even text you what your
Initial.
yeah,
I
because
would
I'm like
grade.
and
Nothing.
like and this is where we're melding when it comes to doing our shows together because we kind of know what each other wants. We know what we're trying to go for. We know our like there's real I would say chemistry,
Mm.
and I like you. I'm pretty sure you thought I knew what I was doing by not asking, and vice versa.
I think we just have a different understanding. From
Yeah.
what I understand from people that know me and the groups that I've been with, or people that have given me feedback about the show, is they think I'm the villain. I hate
Oh.
everything. That's the perception of everything is
You're
that I'm the villain. That I'm just like that. I purposely hate watch things, or I have.
Well, what's my
I'm looking
yeah? What
to
the hell's
things.
my perception?
Though that no, my one friend said this, that you give doubt to you allow everything and are okay with things that are still bad, but you're like it's still better than it should be. Like you're grading on a curve, meaning like the Mummy, you're just like, all right, it's still bad, but it's better. Like you give credence to things
Well,
that are
here's the thing.
like you're defending things that are just like notably average.
Getting into Gods of Egypt.
So you're doing it right now.
Right, I will do it right now. Compare that with the Mummy movie. Now, both they come from same backstory. You can just say like Greek mythology. Both of those movies have the same intent. Both of those movies had similar budgets. Mummy is so much better, just as a watchable entertainment theater feature experience than Gods of Egypt ever could be, because Gods of Egypt breaks in a couple minutes. In a couple minutes, you're out of that movie.
Oh, okay.
Just from like even from like being blindfolded, just listening, just from the beats of the dialogue, the acting, what we're getting to like gnaw on. It's broken that early.
Wow.
I'm just saying. It's as a chapter 1 launching pad.
Right.
Tom Cruise the Mummy. Oh, what?
Tom Cruise. I gotta get beer.
Getting another beer. Mark's gonna get another beer. Okay. Well, Mark's going to listen. I'm going to make my opening Spider-Man Homecoming statement. Okay. Is I guess if I'm going to grade this movie on the curve, I'm going to say that this is the version of Peter Parker. This is a version of Spider-Man that has not been. We haven't seen this version before. This version is unique. It's a sole ownership, partnership to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There is no baseline to compare this version to anything within previous comics, movies, animation. Okay? I think because of that this movie has a strength and a flexibility that was very hard to anticipate. However, it delivered on what was like led into from Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone was paranoid if what we saw in the Civil War could be extrapolated, could be expanded, and they didn't. Like I thought it was a amazing effort in creating something new to something that we all kind of know. Like we all know the story now. We know what the beats are, but this version of Peter Parker never existed ever before. The Aunt May, like the way how Tony Stark is intertwined with him. And I think some of the positioning already and the criticism, the ones that people have, are coming from like the same the Tobey Maguire movies. Like they wanted that in Marvel Cinematic Universe. and it kind of would never work. Like the way it worked is the way it is, and we just accept for it working that way. And I think because of that, there was concessions made, and the trade off I think is just amazing. So I do put this at the very like close to the very top of these Marvel movies, and that's an opening statement. I will close my opening statements.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
Yeah.
so I'm having a very crazy time with this because I super enjoyed myself and I like love this movie. And I just broke the microphone. And like, microphone's like, what are you doing? You don't like things.
Flash the tidal waves, crashing cities. Oh wait. Can I please interrupt?
Yeah,
I just want to interrupt. Okay. Geostorm.
No.
We're
Oh
going,
yeah. We'll hate watch that.
We're going all in on that.
Okay.
Because you know what it is?
I'm gonna cosplay Gerard Butler in that movie with the bad hair and what the fuck?
I just flew in. I deserve to be an hour late from space. Like, or whatever. He's like, you're an hour late. And he's like, I just flew in from space. I'm like, movies. But see, like, Geostorm is it. Because it's a freaking movie. Here's a movie. Here's a movie.
It's a
like,
movie.
These things are going to happen. Here it is.
Yeah, but didn't you think when everyone's dying in the trailer, there shouldn't be like jokes right after? Is like really like to show the weird?
No.
It should all just be.
It's a freaking movie. Welcome to a movie, and that you know what? That's my freaking curve. Even before I see the damn thing.
All right.
It is.
I'll be hating that amazingly.
Welcome to a movie, people. We're Hollywood
That'll
people.
give me equilibrium back to Earth.
Dude, I don't know, man. I can't wait for that. So maybe like we were discussing what's our next big movie.
That'll be.
So it's like Geostorm, Thor,
might be Geostorm.
JLA. Okay, so continue, my friend. I'm sorry.
Okay, so pretty much note perfect. I think like from the start. So you have the Marvel logo, and instead of Giacchino doing the shitty Marvel like blah, 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 they do the actual Spider-Man cartoon theme song.
Yeah, and
really cool.
Like a 60-string orchestra too.
Very nice.
Yeah,
and I saw that in the Twitter feed, and I was like, is that going to be? And he's like, this is what I'm recording today, and I was like, is that going to be in the movie? How is that going to work? Is that going to be part of the theme?
Yeah.
Is that his new theme? I don't know what they're gonna do, but that like set it up right.
Right.
And then they do, but then they do pretty much the origin of Adrian Toomes. It opens with the drawing. Now the drawing is, spoilers. The drawing is. Do you think that's Liz's drawing? It's 8 years before.
Yeah. So like
if she's a senior, so she'd be 17. So that's a 9-year-old's drawing.
Yeah.
Or is it? Why would that drawing be inside of that area? It wouldn't be.
Right.
It's his daughter's drawing, I guess. Yes.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of confusion. I know that real quick too. Did you see the screen ranked deconstruction of the Marvel timeline? They're like Marvel lost all continuity because it says it's 8 years later than
I don't care.
than Avengers, and they're like, well, does this mean this movie takes place in
2020?
2020?
Right.
And dude, I responded to them, and I said, what makes you think it's real time continuity? Like these movies are not real time. It's just 8 years after. That's all it is. This is just 8 years after this moment. Like same as in Civil War, they're saying it was 8 years since Stark revealed himself.
Mm.
It's just 8 years later. That's it. That's your context, and there's no continuity break.
I could care less about like the actual years. Of
Yeah,
Marvel.
it's just weird how and all of a sudden that becomes like a thing. It's like a thing.
That technically so the 8 years later thing is actually pretty close because Damage Control was created and Damage Control was mentioned in Iron Man 2.
Yes.
So that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. So that's not new, and Tyne Daly's character, that's a real character.
Right.
So when she walked, I forget her name, Marisol or something like that, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting,
Yeah.
And that was very believable, and that's what I think is interesting is I think that him being like, I'm a stand-up guy, I'm blue collar. He's gung ho. He's gung ho Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
right
he
there,
is
right?
He's
got like a crew.
Well, he's like gung ho,
fighting from a crew.
like Mr. Mom. Like,
this is my ragtag crew.
yeah.
Check him out. This guy's got a goatee and he's late.
Yeah, and but getting back to that drawing, Yeah, I didn't make too much of it. Like
I didn't.
I really.
The point was, it was like, this is a new world. This is like, you believe this is, it used to be cowboys, and he says it used to be cowboys and Indians.
right, and yeah,
And then the Tinkerer makes a joke right away. He says, "Oh, it's Native Americans," because that's we're PC.
We gotta be taken to school.
That's funny though.
Right out of the gate.
It's funny.
It is funny. Like there was that, and then there was the Washington Monument statement that I can't even get into right now.
Oh yeah.
Of how like wrong and inaccurate that dribble was, which is like beyond. Like again, like you can't even Google things. You just can't. Like you can't, and people have already made videos on that, and they've accepted that as truth. The Washington Monument statement.
But before you even see Spider-Man, you set up the villain completely, and you're almost justified.
Yeah. So
you're almost like, oh.
Yeah, and
because he even says, he's like, well, who's your boss? He's like, well, you can take it up with my boss. He's like, who's your boss?
Yeah.
And then it goes, and then the next scene is like Tony Stark and damage control. Yeah. And then it's like, so it's not exactly like Iron Man 2-ish, where he's like, that guy killed my dad. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but it's similar.
Yeah, it's similar, and it's also to something to where like there's a guy who is caught in a storm of things that are bigger than he is.
Geostorm.
Yeah,
he's caught in a geostorm.
Hey, look, you know, if we can control weather through satellites,
why would we do this?
You know, well, actually, it's like they're kind of there. Like there's technology out there that like, so they get those giant cargo planes, and what they do is they have like modified oil, and what happens is they can fly over like storm areas and lay down this oil, and it directs the currents of the storm. Like there's like they've been experimenting with this stuff for a while, but the point I'm getting at is if you can control the weather with satellites, you know something's going to go wrong.
Especially if Andy Garcia is involved, because Andy Garcia, if he plays a politician, he's always an asshole.
He's always an asshole.
He did it in Ghostbusters. Yeah. When he's in charge of a casino, he's an asshole. Like it's just like he's just get Andy Garcia away from any type of office, or if he's in charge at all.
Yeah, like yeah. What was he ever delightful in a? Was he ever nice?
No, he fucked his cousin in Godfather 3, as they made gnocchis. Yeah. That's weird, right?
Yeah,
that's cool.
And he's not aging well, right? We
I don't think so.
We can say that, right?
Yeah.
We can say he's not aging well.
No. But I also always think that Alec Baldwin gets a pass because I think he's charming. But if you look at like early Alec Baldwin, like that's a handsome looking guy, right?
Dude, yeah,
like pretty striking.
Yeah. Well, they wanted him as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
he was one of the, and
then he missed it, and then he's like, "I'll do the Shadow."
Right.
Thanks so much. All right, so let's bring it back. We'll bring it back. Yeah. All right, but before you even see Peter Parker,
I'm just going through Andy Garcia movies right now, real quick.
Before you even see Peter Parker, you are villain set up. Your villain and crew are set up.
Right, yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
There
pretty
was
good.
A urgency to that. There was, and real quick, getting back to that drawing, like to me, like I just read that drawing as like this is the world that they're living in.
Right,
like,
right. This is the new world, because this was not like the week after the destruction. It was probably a few weeks there. It was a city. He's like, I got a city contract.
Yeah.
I bought things. I mortgaged my house. I got.
Yeah, which in reality, like even if that was the case, and even if they're in like New York, like he would have to be like bought out of that contract, even if there was like security reasons.
Maybe, like, but think about it. This was an alien invasion.
Yeah.
And like
like how we're rationalizing.
Well, hold on a second. I'm going to put this in perspective. This was an alien.
Slow it down.
Hold on over there, Pete. This was an alien invasion. Now, there's been nothing like this previously. Technically, there wouldn't have been anything like it because we would be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah,
you remember how chaotic when like stuff like I mean, just it's.
Yeah, so
it's like it's unlike anything you'd ever concept. Like when 9/11 happened, like we didn't concept that. When like even when the power outage happened, remember when like.
Well, the power outage, any of the
everything, it was just
university
crazy
shootings, where like they didn't know how to lock people down and people were running out of hallways and getting clipped. Yeah, I mean, like you need a level of tragedy to sharpen the blade to
because people died. I mean, that was the whole point of Civil War. Civil War was just saying, hey, you know, and there was actually kind of an interesting line saying like, hey, the people that are making the mess are cleaning up the mess and still profiting from it.
Yeah, which I'm like,
And I was like, whoa,
oh, shit, man. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. This
yeah,
is like so working class, on the nose, like scripting.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
was
agree.
shocked at how good the scripting was. So
Yeah.
I buy that, and then they have the pretty much like iFilm movie
Yeah, which
of Peter Parker of Civil War. It recaps Civil War in like 4 minutes.
Yeah, and I saw that somewhere. And
it posted about 2 days ahead.
And well, I saw it. I saw it even before that, and I forgot that I saw it.
Okay.
I saw that somewhere, and then I was watching. I'm like, oh, I guess that thing I saw was for like the movie or something. And
they had bits and pieces in some of the previous trailers, previous stuff, but not all together. I will chuck together.
Yeah, but I even remember seeing like Paul Rudd grabbing, when he grabs War Machine, and there was like that angle. Like I saw that previously.
Oh, okay.
So when he's like, oh, he's grabbing that guy or something, and I'm like, but either way, I thought that was awesome, right?
Well, that's very new. Like that's very like.
It's like
that's so cutting edge. Like that's my kids make little videos. They make little movie trailers and
vlogging.
They make
yeah. It's like a vlog.
They my kids made a movie trailer like last week about a fake like detective.
Oh, cool!
And they just shot it on iMovie, and it looks like great. Like it's like I was like, okay, like they're making movies. They're 12. You know what I mean? So
there you go.
But just I think that kid is so infectious in that. It's like I can't believe this is the greatest day of my life. I can't believe this happened. You won't believe this happened.
Yeah.
And I think that
These balls are thin.
How good is Jon Favreau in this? Which when I first heard this, I was like, oh, I guess they're just throwing like a B+ character. Like I don't know if this is going to work.
Well, based on one of the lines in the trailer, I thought he was going to turn. I thought he was going to be on the side. I thought he was going to be the guy setting up what the Vulture was getting.
Okay.
Because if you watch one of the trailers, it looks like that they're in the same like scene, like, and when he's saying like, get here and like pick up the Stark equipment or something, like there's something, and it looked like that they were in the same like.
Well, towards the end, he's packing up a plane to move.
Yeah.
And that plane is ultimately hijacked.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could probably surmise that earlier, like, oh well, maybe he's selling stuff on the side or whatever.
I don't know. And that was, but I thought he was great. I thought just like the tone of the Iron Man movies and the way how that character is, and Jon Favreau just like carried it over.
It's pitch perfect.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like that was phenomenal.
So I wonder how much like levity they give. Now the director, I read his top 5 movies, like that he likes.
Tell me his. Yeah, tell me his top 5.
I can look them up, but like they're not. Even I've seen maybe one of those top 5.
No, okay, I'm going to look that up. Well, real quick too. Did you see any of his?
I didn't see Cop Car. Cop Car was the only thing he was like known for.
Yeah,
John Watts.
But Clown, right?
I don't know.
Did you see Clown? It's Clown and Cop Car. Like that's kind of, those were his top 2 movies.
I don't know. I know nothing about this guy really.
So Clown is on Netflix.
Okay,
you have to watch this movie.
It's a horror movie?
It's a horror movie.
I love horror movies.
But it's a straight up. So here's what I love about this movie. I cannot tell you what it is, because it's going to spoil. But they do the one thing that you want them to do in every horror movie, where like the one person who has the shit happening to him tells everyone that shit's happening to him. Like everyone, like family, everyone, and like you want that moment in so many horror movies, and it's a big chunk of this movie, and it's just kind of like one of those things where
like he's telling people and people don't believe it, or they're just like
I don't think I would spoil too much. Yeah, no one's understanding it, like no one's getting it. They just, because again, like why would you? Why the fuck would you even believe it? Like, but it's so good, and it even has like the one character that has the book with the backstory, like like it has the because every fucking horror movie today has the guy with the book that's like the ancient demon Diablo, and they'll go on and on about it. But no, you have to watch Clown. It's on Netflix. I haven't seen Cop Car, but I remember when that came out, everyone was like flipping out about.
Yeah, but to me, like tonally, I'm just like, how is this guy gonna make? It seemed like It's basically about this like abandoned cop car and these two little kids steal it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then like a bad cop comes after because he left the cop and there's maybe like a bag of money in it. Something's in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. All I know is it's like basically like a Midwestern noir.
Yeah.
So why would that guy direct Spider-Man? Like I don't understand. And even when they said that the guys that are writing this movie did the new Ed Helms Vacation movie, which was terrible. I fucking hated that movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like it didn't work. The only thing that kind of worked in that movie was like Chris Hemsworth, which was Thor.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked a little bit, but then it didn't continue. It just was like the one note joke, and then he never got out of it.
Well, here's the one thing to always consider. Screenplays are blueprints to a movie. Like they're not the movie, and I think sometimes, especially with comedies and people who have a history of improv, like it's so hard to what was the script for Ghostbusters like what
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
Well, I feel with
the back
Tony,
of a couple napkins.
I mean, I feel that with like, like as for like the side characters, I would say like it's the perfect amount of Tony Stark in this, like the perfect amount of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a little more than I thought, but I think that we pretty much seen every scene in the trailer that he was going to be in, minus the last scene.
Right.
But I think that's the perfect amount, and I feel that like the dad mentor thing he was doing was interesting. And then he even at one point when he's scolding him, he's like, shit, I sound like my dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I was like, oof. And then when he took the suit away, man, I don't know. I cried twice during this movie.
Okay,
like I straight up. No, I noticed. I am pretty much always been admitted to crying every movie. I cry a lot.
Mark's a girly man.
I am. So like I cried, but I cried during like that scene where he's like, I'm taking the suit away. You're not without the suit, like, and that's it. And it was just tough because, more so, I think it was like continued. It was a continued sadness because then he had to go home. And he had no clothes.
Right. Yeah.
And then
he goes, we can fix that.
And he gives him like a tourist shirt, and he walks in, and he's noticeably like really crying.
Yeah.
Like really, like I cried and walked home for an hour.
Yeah.
And then he walks in to Aunt May, who's also super upset with him, and like just like at that point you're just kind of like, I mean, look, I'm Spider-Man. Like, I thought at that point was going to be a moment, and then it turned a little bit. She's like, I lost the internship, and now she understands like how much I mean, and that scene just like crumbled. Yeah. It was amazing.
Well, because they had the risk of that, and what I was expecting at that point was a double climax.
Mm-hmm.
Was that we have the climax of him getting stripped from the suit, and then there's only a few times I can recall where a double climax works within like two scenes. And then it was going to be a climax of her freaking out on him, punishing him, taking more away. But at the same time, it became like this almost like uplifting moment. And again, I was just watching this movie, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I can't believe. But then again, I think they're able to hit these marks because this is a different like take on Spider-Man.
But
there's different.
What you said in the beginning, your opening statement is that basically that we now live in this Tony Stark built Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right? But we've been with Tony Stark since what, 2004?
Yeah.
For 13 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is giving it like such a heavier level where it's like here's a brand new Tobey Maguire, he can't catch the bus, ha 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 ha.
He's
like,
delivering pizzas.
Like, look at him delivering pizza when he's swinging it around, hilarious. He gets fired again, like where that was its own good time at its time because it just created this little thing.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they have this Avengers mission. They're recreating the Avengers. Cap's a war criminal, which was joked by Hannibal Buress. Hannibal Buress is like, pretty sure this dude's a war criminal, but whatever.
Yeah, he's
like a completely disengaged like gym teacher.
Just all gym teachers.
Yeah, even he's running detention, and he's like, I'm just going to leave detention. He's like, I guess, whatever, who gives a shit?
He doesn't even know the video that he always plays.
Right.
Like when Captain America is like, your gym teacher over here, and he's like on the other side of the television. Yeah.
It's so spot on. So I kind of feel that like there's so much more weight when he's in maybe 8 minutes of the movie. I don't even know. Probably less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's so potent when he shows up because that was the thing. He's like, you're not even here right now. He's yelling at him. He's like, you're not even here right now. And then he walks out of the suit. You're like, oof. Like,
yeah.
And he's like, and he always knew. And he always made it a point. He's like, look, I know you got the churro. I know, like, I am not here.
Right. Yeah.
I know everything that's going on.
Present. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like God. He's like his own little God. But I think it's just note perfect. Even to the end, like that end sequence is really good.
Yeah, like how.
And that's the Civil War. That is the Civil War press conference.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. And then that was a very interesting scene because he's like, and that was so earned. So basically Peter says, yeah, I appreciate this. I'm good. I need to go be a kid.
Yeah.
Because there is a scene where he's supposed to go swimming with everyone on the school trip, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
And that was a scene where you're just like, oh, this is kind of a cliche. But he knows that he has to go be a kid.
Yeah, and the other...
He's 15.
Yeah, the other highlight, though, was...
Not a 35-year-old.
Yeah, was... And I guess, like, the one point of go-to controversy now is the functionality of the suit. People are like flipping their SHIT over the suit.
But like, can you believe? Okay, number one, how perfect is the suit? Number one, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it that
it's
he
amazing.
hacks it too. I love it that he hacked the suit.
That's awesome.
I
don't think we've ever thought that he could make it and knit it in his room.
Right.
Come on. So it's fine if this guy who created multiple Iron Man suits.
Yeah, or creates what 78 of them through post-traumatic stress syndrome between two movies,
and then destroys them all and then starts building them again,
yeah.
and then creates Ultron and then destroys half the world. Whoops, sorry about that.
Yeah, like
I'm fine with signing these accords. Right. It'll protect me against me.
Yeah, I'll but I watched Civil War again since.
I should watch that again.
And you know what, like. There's such a gravity to the moments of him and Captain America, like namely when they're in the Avengers headquarters when they're all together, and then the scene where he wants Captain America to when he has the pens and he's like, hey, I got these pens out of my father's storage. Like there's such a gravity and dual of like position in those two scenes, and to even have that like those two scenes essentially carry over into this where like they're being told and taught the Sokovia Accords in school.
Yeah, there's so much good sprinkling throughout.
Yeah, and
it makes a real life history and Marvel cinematic history.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're being like taught this in school. So now there's like kids growing up that are going to hate that. Like like kids are going to grow up hating superheroes because of some of this rhetoric. And it's so interesting. It's so interesting that even like you would have like something at the Washington Monument and you would have like Spider-Man linked to it, and then like everyone like that was to me like similar to like Donner Superman, like where like it's almost like there was like a coming out moment in those movies when he catches the helicopter, and like there's such a gravity when he has the suit. He's trying to do good things. He's trying to make daddy happy. And you also know he can't figure anything out. And it makes every single one of his gestures, his movements, his attempts, like perfect. Like you even know when he's running across the field that he's not going to nail it. He's not going to nail it. He
doesn't nail when he swings, and he swung wrong and he went in the pool.
Yeah,
and splashed everyone. And he's just going through. Well, they address things, that's movie things that like don't work. So, for example, like a guy in a green like feathery costume doesn't work. A guy with alien technology flying with like a furry like bomber jacket. It's fine. You know what I mean? Or when he's trying to swing out of a neighborhood that has no buildings and he has to run through a field. This is the kind of stuff that's like, oh, okay. Because they always made that joke in the Marvel comics. They're like, well, if you don't see something, he's just probably grabbed onto a helicopter. That was always the excuse.
Yeah, and I think they used that when he fights Thanos. When Thanos had the helicopter in that.
I forget.
Really weird issue where Thanos actually had the helicopter and he webs onto it, which is like the worst Thanos story. There's one bad Thanos story and like that's it. But no.
Luke Cage beats Thanos too. Wait, I gotta look that up. I think that's right.
Secret Defenders.
No. I'm sorry. That's Doctor Doom. I think Luke Cage defeats Doctor Doom, which makes no sense. But in the continuity of the book, it was like fine.
Oh.
I'll correct that. That'll be on the corrections episode.
Yeah. Well, but no, and the other thing that I thought this movie had it had like a flow. I love that they made the Vulture just this deadly thing. It was like it was you knew like
When he came in, it was scary, and
yeah.
there was a weird. I don't know if it was on purpose. Maybe it wasn't even really in like an Easter egg. When he drops him, when it kind of he's fighting and disengages, and he gets kind of propelled up. So the Vulture gets propelled up against the moon, and it looked kind of like the Batman symbol.
Okay. So I thought what they were going to do with that is I thought they would make a nod to what I should have looked this up.
The 89 Batman, that's where the Batwing goes up against the moon.
Yeah, I thought they were going to make a nod to the Amazing Spider-Man 16 cover where he's grabbing the ankle of the Vulture.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, which was also homage by Rob Liefeld and Richter for I think New Mutants like 86 or 87. Because we need a Rob Liefeld reference.
I think that Richter is definitely on par.
Yeah, but I thought they were going. I thought they would make a homage to that.
Did you see
I was kind of like looking for it
Easter egg wise? Like I feel that in Peter's like short film, you see the globe that was there from Iron Man 2.
Yes.
In Queens, as he's driving away.
Yeah.
So that's half destroyed from Iron Man 2, and then they do retcon that, and they don't mention it, of course, but like Spider-Man, we talked about this in the previous episode, that Spider-Man was the little kid in the Iron Man mask, which can be there and it cannot be there. Why not? But like,
whatever. Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but that's a little callback there. When he is walking through the hallway, they have a mural, and they have all these, they have, I forget who's on the mural, but you do see Howard Stark on the mural. You see John Slattery, Howard Stark.
Yeah.
And then in science class, you see Bruce Banner up there with all the, like, Einstein, a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Which, it also kind of comes to, would he be up there? Like, to me, it's like, I think it's kind of a cool nudge, but does everyone in Marvel, and I don't know this, actually, I'm not even sure about this. In the MCU, is it known that Bruce Banner, because I'm trying to... Is
it known that he's Hulk?
Is he known... Yeah, right. I don't know.
That's a real good question. But I would say even if he is known as the Hulk, it still kind of would go to the point though, like if we're going through like the Ed... Well, I don't know, like the Ed Norton movie establishes him on the run after the experiment. So like what would he have created?
I don't know what he'd be famous for.
Right. So that's like that's like a little bit. It would have been, I guess, better if Michael Douglas was on that wall, because he would have like the adventures from the '60s, known for science. Like,
that would be cool.
Because there's a whole Wasp, Ant-Man movie, like as the backstory, like almost like the montage in Captain America, where there's like a Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos Captain America montage / like movie in the movie where they could just like where time like expanded, like where they could just go in and do a Captain America Nick Fury movie now.
Well, did you notice that the principal is Principal Morita, and that's the grandson of Morita from the Howling Commandos.
Oh no!
Played by the same exact actor.
I didn't realize that.
And it's on his desk. There's a picture of it on his desk.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I saw that on a video.
Yeah, I know. What's his name? Glover's playing Miles's.
He's playing
father.
Aaron Johnson as Aaron something, but he's the ultimate Prowler.
Okay.
So but that is Miles Morales' uncle.
Okay.
So that's one. The Bruce Banner, the Globe. They had callbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had callbacks where he's basically doing like a Ferris Bueller thing, running, and then they literally
runs
as he's running alongside the Ferris Bueller video, which. Like, I should hate. Like, this is what I think is funny about this movie. There's certain things I would hate.
Yeah.
I don't hate any of it. I don't hate. I think it's great.
Yeah, because, like, with that part, I was like, oh, I was just thinking that. And then I saw it, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I thought that with Baby Driver because he was wearing the same exact jacket. Like, I was like, he's wearing the Ferris Bueller jacket, like, exactly the same.
Right.
But that, I thought, was pretty great. The part where he's upside down and, like, and actually, the voice of Karen. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, that is the Vision's real life wife.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the Vision, Paul Bettany, I think that was another thing where I think he just kind of knew people.
Yeah.
The same reason why Clark Gregg got cast in the first Iron Man, because he was neighbors, I think, with either Downey or I think he was neighbors with Favreau. I think that's what was going on.
Okay.
And they're like, we need something.
That's cool.
And then they brought him in, and then he basically had a career for 10 years plus from Iron Man 1.
Yeah,
Now,
jeez, yeah.
they pretty much, so they did a Friday for that suit. They did, they did like an AI to talk to. So like Jarvis, but Jarvis eventually literally
Became
which is so
Division.
crazy to think about that. So Paul Bettany took a job as like a voiceover
Yeah,
for 3 movies.
yeah.
And then Dummy's in this too. The robot, he's moving stuff around too.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, the Iron Man robot, the
Yeah.
Dumb E. So
Oh right, yeah.
So there's
with
there's
the
a
vase,
ton.
yeah, with the vase.
There's
Yeah.
just it's crazy how much is going on. And they talk about Thor's belt. That is an official
Yes.
Jack Kirby Stan Lee belt that enhances, and it's been used like twice. And it's
Yeah.
like called like Melly Born or something.
Well, yeah, and it's also and did they reference the Captain America energy shield?
They just say it's a prototype shield. Maybe
Yeah.
it is.
Dude,
That would make the most sense, right?
I would love the energy shield because I thought that was the coolest thing when
Because we had his old shield.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Did he have his first shield ever?
Yeah.
Or did he just have the Cap shield? No, I mean like the.
Oh no.
No.
Like the one we saw in Iron Man 2.
Timely.
Oh no, the Timely, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah. But yeah, so like I don't know. I thought so like it's almost like they were setting up potentially what happens at the end of Ragnarok.
Well, I
him
think
with that belt to get his if he's not going to
I don't
the
think
hammer.
I don't think the hammer's back. I think the hammer's gone.
Yeah.
He has a Yarnbjorn. He has the sword.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's what he has now as Unworthy Thor. That's what he has now.
Okay.
He has Yarnbjorn, and technically with that belt, it would help him be a little stronger. That's all.
Yeah.
So that's a possible. God damn! Like, how amazing is that shit?
Yeah.
Like, how amazing is that tiny shit for me?
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck knows? Like any of that?
Dude, I was like when they said prototype shield, I'm like, it's the energy shield from Kurt Busiek, George Perez, and which is later in Guardians Future. Like
That's
Guardians
Vance
3000.
Astro's. Yeah, right.
And
That's
I'm just
Vance
like,
Astro's
oh my
energy
God.
shield.
I'm like, holy crap, because if it's anything leading towards Infinity Gauntlet, it's almost like, and you know that the Guardian legacy's out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost like, are we just going to do the Jim Valentino Guard? Like we're going to have the Valentino Guardians somewhere in a movie. Like, and I'm like, what is this? What are they like? How are they even doing this?
Just drop it in, and if it's used, it's fine.
Well,
if it's not used, it's fine.
Well, that's the big philosophy that they're like the methodology that they're doing that people are not getting. Because they think every little peanut is going to lead to like an elephant, and it's not. Not every like.
It doesn't have to be like. I think was it Guardians 1 when the beginning scene there's like a skeleton thing and they're like that is Beta Ray Bill's. That's the same race, and I'm like,
yeah,
it doesn't.
Or
it can be.
Or the Infinity Gauntlet showing up in Thor. Like they put that there because they thought it was going to be like funny.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we do have to do something with it now. And
there was a theory I saw last week, and there's a Master Tainman. He's another YouTuber, but he did a theory that I think was so fucking out there. Like he was looking at when all the Guardians, like the "Take My Hand" scene in the Guardians.
Yeah.
And you see all the planets behind you. The one planet had this strange like thing through it, and he's like, oh, that's Galen's planet, and that's being ripped in half. That's the origin of the Silver Surfer right behind it. I'm like, dude, that is such a reach.
Whoa.
But I was like, I don't care if it's not real. Like I'm okay with it because there's still supposedly there's one Easter egg that James Gunn from the first film never revealed. Wow. So this guy just keeps watching the movie until his eyes burn out of his head.
Yeah. Well, it's still the inconsistent or the two Easter eggs, or you would say, or one's an Easter egg and one's like a position would be. Like the Adam Warlock cocoon versus the ending of Guardians Volume 2, where we have the real cocoon, and then we have something that looks just like the cocoon from the comic.
Right, her, him. Yeah.
And so, like, but people were so excited for that cocoon. It's almost like, all right, now we have
people really like
yeah, and now it's like, now we can do something with it. And, you know, that's one of the things I loved about Guardians Volume 2, where, like, it justified the creation and explain the creation of Adam Warlock. Like that's like the other arc that again, like no one really like caught. So I'm like, holy crap, dude! Like you understand what they're doing. Like
Who did the timeline breakdown? Was that Screen Crush? What was that? Who broke that up?
Screen Ranked.
Whatever. Listen.
Yeah, and
But do you remember? So Guardians.
It's user submitted crap too.
Guardians
Yeah.
2 is 6 months after Guardians 1, which is 4 years. It's going to be almost 4 or 5 years before Infinity War.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because remember, there going to be in a wormhole or whatever. Like, who knows how time's going to work? Who times work outside of the of Earth?
Yeah, but even when you do that, you have to excuse it because it's like the event itself is so like epic that it's not like you're gonna have to forego some of these like ideas, which is going to be like, well, how are they all together and how are they not on Earth? How come supervillains don't take over Earth while they're fighting Thanos? Like, you know, like you're gonna have to just like kind of just jump into it unless even that's explained. Like,
it's very possible that gets explained. There was so much in Guardians 2 that was unpacked, you know. But I think this movie, like, so far, it's a lot of stuff we just went through. Tons of Easter eggs. While the Easter eggs work, they could be there for you. They could be there for not for you. It doesn't matter. Even the part where he's like, "Hey, you have that ring in your pocket," like because they can't take Spider-Man out. You know what? That is an Iron Man 2. He's like, I've been carrying this around since 2009 or something like that. Yeah, that's correct because he's had it since Iron Man 2. He's like, I've been wanting to propose, or he didn't. Yeah, and he's going to go do that. And she was actually a good surprise. I thought that was actually fine.
Like that's why, like, with her showing up, that's how I'm convinced that anything that leaks from a movie is purposeful. Because how you not know? Like, people are like, oh, we have today's call list. We have the casting. Like, we have the list. And we know this character showing up.
Yeah, how do you not know Gwyneth Paltrow showing up on a movie set?
Yeah. Like, how do you not know?
Did they shoot that 2 days ago?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Now, I know the shawarma scene was very new and that was shot.
Yeah.
Like, but that's different.
Right.
Because that's a button joke.
Yes.
But, like...
But, I think this movie...
Very cool.
What this movie did, okay, and...
It was so earned. Dude, that last scene was so fucking earned. Like, that scene, that's a scene where you can literally, like, smash your hand around and you're like, no, there's the suit. There's your new suit. Like, go into there and there's the thing. You're famous. Like, that's what you want.
You wanted, yeah.
And then he's like, I'm going to go.
An old lady bought me a churro. That's what you're getting back to.
Yeah. Well, that's what to going back to the beginning was like, that's what I liked. I liked that there was like this little group who was majorly affected by aliens, and then they're cleaning up, and he's like, his business is booming because of this new factor, and then like, no, like, you know what I mean? Then it's taken away from, and then he turns villainous. Now,
well, it's not even villainous. He just went. He created a need. He saw the need and he's filling it. Like, he saw an opportunity, and that's what people relate to, because everyone knows that they are not above pursuing that. Like, they're not above doing that themselves. And they see a little bit of themselves with someone making that decision on screen. And that's why. But, dude, like, I was talking about the girl I saw Guardians. Well, one of the girls I saw Guardians Volume 2 with.
7 girls I saw Guardians.
I think I saw Deadpool with 3. I saw Force Awakens with 4. I saw Rogue One with 2, and I saw Guardians with 2. Okay, even Rob Liefeld, I think, retweeted my one comment on where I said I'm seeing Deadpool again, and I'm probably having sex with this girl tonight after, and he like retweeted. But anyway, I was just explaining like what almost like the tone of this movie was, and I said like the opening, like the way you get to know Peter Parker and Spider-Man is like it's a montage of him like emulating Tony Stark and Iron Man, like kind of like boy crushing on him, blowing up his phone and giving him updates on that he gave an old lady directions, and he was bought a churro. And he's eating the churro as he's leaving the message, and I'm like, this is where we are. It was like he's a kid in angst. He doesn't have anything of the world figured out. He just knows it's exactly what he says in Civil War. Like he's compelled to defend. He's compelled to protect. That is the only thing he really knows in life. He doesn't know anything else. He doesn't have anything else figured out. but he knows to do this.
Yeah, I don't have that line on my head, like, but the line he says, which is not like the with great power, great becomes great responsibility, but he says something like that in Civil War, that is dead on. I don't have it in front of me,
Yeah.
but like that's correct. Like he's like, I'm compelled to do this. I have to do this. And that the weird thing is that there was stakes. So let's move so to go into. I just want to talk about tone wise, we're in it. Music, I'm fine. Like I think all the music, there was a couple deeper cut tunes in it, but most of it was 80s.
Yeah, and
Homecoming Dance, 80s.
Yeah, and real quick too. The use of the Ramones was awesome because they have the greatest cover of the Spider-Man theme song.
They're New Yorkers and they've always been notable comic book fans.
But they also covered the cartoon theme song.
Yeah, then that's a huge
Like that's been used in a lot of other things other than this, and that's what I mean. Like they even knew to do that, and it's such a perfect fit that like that's where I'm like I need to know more about how they're making these decisions, what they're doing inside the offices, because what was the second option? This fits so well. If you can't use a Ramones?
I don't know.
What the.
Well, the first song. What song was God damn it! Like the first song that was in it when Vulture is the Vulture. It's 8 years later. Vulture comes down. They have a pretty great. I don't know if it's a Led Zeppelin song. It's a good rock song. There is definitely like a hold, and the music is very very is just in it.
Let's see here. You know what? I have the score soundtrack, film score, not the.
Maybe they didn't make a soundtrack. Sometimes with these movies, they don't make an official soundtrack.
Well, I don't understand how, because Marvel's stake is merchandise.
Yeah,
like Marvel's getting merchandise and Sony's getting.
But it
box
depends.
Office.
It's Marvel / Sony.
You can't hear me knocking. Rolling Stones, The Underdog Spoon.
The Underdog Spoon. That's the one I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is in here.
Yeah,
that was when he was walking through the high school. I was like, this is that's a very like, my girlfriend says I listen to a lot of stuff, and some of my stuff sounds like Gilmore Girls. Like I'm listening to the Gilmore Girls soundtrack. That's a little Gilmore Girls-y, but that's a great song. That's when he's walking through the high school, but that's a new song. But the first song, it might have been the Rolling Stones.
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, you can't hear me knocking.
Yeah, that's
can't
it.
You hear me?
You can't
knocking.
Hear me knocking.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So when he lands, it's just like
that's awesome.
It's everyone making things. It's the Tinker making things. Everyone doing stuff, and he just like, I got more stuff.
Yeah.
He goes out, gets big. He's like, here's some more. Some more junk.
And it's almost like the Vulture suit is like a utility. It's not designed.
He jumps in.
Yeah, it's not.
And he walks out of it.
Yeah, it's not designed. It's designed to make them money. Like it's another necessity.
Right.
That's what I mean by utility. It's no different than like the power loader.
He's wearing like a flight jacket essentially. Like he's wearing like a flight jacket, and like he's in charge.
I love those beady eyes. Those like red,
scary.
Just like damn, dude. Like I would if I saw that. If I have powers or not, I will crap my pants.
Well, I think that one time he gets taken up, or I think he gets taken up by him. He's like, "Hey, your parachute was never put back.
Yeah.
So you're gonna just fall." And he's like, "Fuck!" Like, he's like, "Oh, what? No!" Like, so that's where the narration and like my girlfriend complained that there wasn't enough like learning curve of him knowing stuff. I'm like, no, he's been doing this. I'm like, the learning curve was he had a new costume that like he hacked, and he broke the protocol, the training wheels protocol.
Yeah,
so he was supposed to ease into that costume,
right? And keep in mind too that they also established that he's already been on YouTube. People already have footage of him. He's been doing it enough to a high enough frequency that Tony Stark tracked him down, knew who he was, and knew he was legit. So like we know he's been out there. We know he's been like, and he even knew his limitations. Like that's why I even like his goggles. Like he says, he needs to desensitize himself. And people are flipping out about like the spider sense, and I'm like, he's like, it's almost like there's this idea that they could use that some of his powers are manifesting, that the spider sense still might come into play, but they did go on record to say it's there, right?
They said it's there.
Used,
I don't.
But it's understated.
Yeah, but I mean, even in comic books, it's not there every issue, man.
No.
Like it's not something that like some writers will love it and they use it a lot, and some writers don't use it at all.
Yeah,
like at all.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. It's a variable. I like it. It's an allegory. An allegory for puberty. Sure.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing. The reason this movie is a miracle. Okay, it's a fucking miracle.
Well, yeah,
it's a Force Awakens like miracle, because remember, like, there's so many odds against this concept in movie.
Yeah,
this is the most popular Marvel character by far,
scrutinized.
If you look at merchandising, like I'm talking like double.
Yeah,
like by ridiculously the most recognized, and it comes down to he's an awkward teenager. We all went through that shit. Like you know what I mean? Like you know, Captain America is a peak of human performance. I'm not a billionaire philanthropist. I don't know if you know this, right? You understand this, right?
Yeah.
I go to my job every day. I'm not creating things in my lab.
I understand this a bit. Yeah.
So like, there's different things. I can understand, like, but when you watch a lot of your favorite guy, Stan Lee, when you watch your favorite guy talk about like how some of these characters were created, they were created from human fallibility.
Yeah.
Whether so it kind of comes from. The things he put inside of Tony was that he didn't exactly know how to like balance the struggle, and then he didn't exactly make him an alcoholic, but they did that to make him more human.
Right.
Cap was born at a different time. He didn't create Cap, but the things they did with Cap later was like coming off of super soldier serum, and he was a drug addict. Like he was a drug addict to super soldier serum. Yeah. They make him kind of messy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and that's where. Like, it's almost like even when he refused to roll with the Avengers, where, like, again, like, I think some people miss this too. It's like he's back in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, he can go back and do the things that we loved in this movie.
He's an honorary Avenger.
Yeah.
He was only an Avenger very recently, and it wasn't for very long.
Yeah,
and he's too busy. Like it doesn't work. Like he doesn't belong in that world.
Yeah, and it's so funny too because like even him, like eventually joining the ranks makes so much more sense of when Bendis wedged him into New Avengers.
Exactly. Right.
Like they fix the problems through the movies. They make it explainable. They streamline it. And because they're movies, there's more of an emotional connection because that's when movies like pull out of you. And you have like a vested emotional interest now in the well-being of this Peter Parker, of him, like almost like becoming friends with the Avengers. But I think they've set him up to lead them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think 100% that's where they're going with a lot of this. But quick side note: how cool of a design was that Avenger Spider-Man suit?
It was good. I saw someone had a screen cap of it.
The black and the gold, and I'm like,
they didn't change his mask at all, which I thought was actually kind of smart because that mask is.
Yeah.
First off, there's a certain texture of this costume, which I think is very new, and I like it a lot. Like I think it's really good.
It looks like spandex.
Yeah,
and it kind of moves like spandex. Like and it's old school comic like it's Christopher Reeve type.
Yeah,
costume.
I think the actual like webbing part, like the outside, like the mask itself, like it has like it's almost like it almost could put like it's almost one of those like sweaters you have, but like it gets like the white like wool on. You gotta rub it off. Yeah, like it's almost something like that.
It gets the like the fuzzies or
whatever. Yeah. It gets pilled. You're like, man, like the pills that get on. I can't get this off. I love this shirt, but
I used to love it. Now I gotta deal with this.
To me, so we didn't even really get into so the music and tone, like pitch perfect, soundtrack perfect.
I like the score a lot.
Perfect, score is really good, and it pulled Avengers tones too. It went into Avengers a few times.
There was
when it was needed.
Silvestri's credited.
Yeah, and that's great, man. Listen, like I think Giacchino is a master. I think Giacchino somehow pulled off the Rogue One score. Someone else, Andre Desplat, I believe, was doing the Rogue One score. Yeah. But because they edited the shit out of it, he was doing another movie. So they were like, Giacchino, do this. And he did it in some stupid amount of time. And I know he was instructed. The problem I had with Rogue One score, reference episode 10. Episode, I think that's the episode 10 where I just screamed for 45 minutes about Rogue One. But like Giacchino had
screaming at things.
Well, okay, so that's a new segment. Screaming at things. Mark screaming at things. I can't take it. Like Okay, so the Giacchino score for Rogue One, the thing I disliked about the Rogue One score was it almost was a Star Wars but they everything about the movie was like we want you to pull your strength, but we can't. Like it's not a Star Wars movie, so you ready for this theme? It's like it's almost there, but it's not.
Yeah, because like
they kept like fucking with my emotions and nostalgia sensors.
I think I agree, because I think even with Rogue One, like I think this was a part of like the pun intended training wheels of when you're going to do like a side story, like when you're, because essentially the true wave of Star Wars movies coming are going to be non-saga related. So there's things that they have to experiment with, like what's going to work, what's not going to work, what will people accept, what are they not going to accept. And there were so many things where you're wired from watching Star Wars that a spaceship comes overhead, and then there's like a da-da-da, okay? Like you expect to hear it, and you don't hear it, and you hear like a da-da-kung, and it's another note. And you only need that one effing note to tell you you're seeing what you know you're seeing.
Right.
And I really, because I love Rogue One. I love the hell out of that movie. I watch it all the time. There are subconscious notes that happen in your mind when you're watching that movie as coming from like the realm of being a Star Wars fan. And that is where it feels disjointed at times, even when you see Vader and they're not, or you see the Empire and they're not hitting the Imperial notes, and you're just like, and you don't need to hear the theme, you don't need to hear the march, you just need to hear the dun, 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 and then it can go off into something else, and
just enough. You can credit it. Who cares?
Yeah,
everyone's getting paid,
and they don't do it. But there's a side of me that thinks that was a part of that experiment, to where they wanted to know how far they can inch it away from what's wired in people. Because here's the thing, like their play for these movies is not you or me, it's the children, it's the next generation.
Well,
I guess the
way that they're almost like branding it, like even with this one, they were like, Sony, Marvel Entertainment.
Yes.
Like this is a Marvel comic book.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter that it's like it's Marvel Knights, or like it's almost like this was like an imprint almost.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I agree.
I thought it was kind of cool.
Well, I love that they the way it opened with the other logos. I love that there was a build into the Marvel like sequence, like the title sequence, and that's where like when they hit the Spider-Man notes and they're flashing everything, you're almost like, man,
it's a combination of like a ton of things.
We're watching Marvel. Like this is Marvel. We're watching Marvel.
Yeah.
And it was like that.
It was a combination of things. Yeah, it was a combination of like, okay, here's nostalgia, but here's the same like choral theme that I'm used to right here watching this logo. You know what I mean? So I wish that they never pulled back that. Like I want the comics there.
Yeah, the flip. Yeah,
I just think it's better. I just always think it's better.
I like them putting their money where their mouth is and saying that these are the new comics. And I think that's what they,
because they just show clips of the last couple minutes.
Yeah, but there's so many times where like even I'm watching that and I'll pick up like a new thing and I'm like, oh, I remember that. Like it does already echo, but here's my one major criticism. My initial criticism, if you listen back to the two episodes ago, 44, is that if you're not familiar with Avengers, if you're not familiar with Civil War, the first 15 minutes of this movie are going to be confusing. You're not going to follow. I kind of retract that. I already take that back, because I think the majority of the audience is so signed on for what's happening. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Like they know that they can get, they can reference things within their own thread more and more, and rely on it more and more. I'm convinced of that. I don't care. Like, it sucks that, again, like I'll always have this criticism with Civil War. It's really hard to watch Civil War with someone that's not familiar with it, because you do have to explain things from the get-go. Okay?
You gotta be 10. It's like 70. It's like it's pretty deep. Like, Civil War is like, let's just throw in Civil War. You can't watch it. Like it's pretty impenetrable.
And I do feel like there's some of this, because someone will be like, well, what are those things that they're chipping off of the and it's like, oh, there's the Shatari invade.
Well,
wait, little bit of a side note. Okay, I was at this girl's place, and we were flipping. She was flipping, and I said, "Oh my god, I can't remember the last time I was flipping through television. Like I can't."
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh, I just saw it." And then I saw Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I was like, "Have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Put it on, and now I'll tell you what's happening."
In the middle of Two Towers.
Okay, so
theatrical?
we're just in the smack middle of Two Towers. Aragorn just got thrown over the cliff with the wolf dog, and like that's where we are. And I'm like, all right, okay, like that's an orc, war rider wolf, like wolf dog, okay. And I'm like, and she's like, what's an orc? And I'm like, all right, and then like we literally got 10 minutes in, and
that's
she
not an easy
couldn't,
one.
she couldn't take it. She couldn't because everything was an explanation, even like Steven Tyler's daughter, Aragorn, the way that they're having the visions, the mental connection, the flashback of Elrond leaving, yelling at her, and I'm almost like doing this, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is the stupidest thing. Like, these are just stupid things. Like, Lord of the Rings, superheroes, it's all dumb. It's just stupid, okay? Because sometimes you catch yourself explaining it, and you're just like, oh my god! And Civil War will forever be that threat. I think that translates right to Homecoming. The beginning of Homecoming will forever be that threat,
Mhm.
where like you can't just plop it down with someone. You have to explain it and sound like a just you sound like this, like you almost sound like Woody Allen when he waxes intellectual about life and death. Okay,
Right,
like
right.
you come off, but here's my
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I think I did that a little bit with this because the second time I cried was the rubble sequence. So
Yes, watch that was like whole.
and that was pretty long, which I thought was fascinating. But what I thought was
Yeah.
fascinating about that being that long was in the comic books, and that was like, whew, that was
issue
60,
38
33. For sure,
was it
33.
33? Okay,
So
it was in the 30s. Yeah,
yeah. So, but he's buried by rubble, and he's thinking about all the things, all the mistakes he's made in life,
yeah,
and it just happened that I believe that he had a blood transfusion to Aunt May, and Aunt May was sick, and he was thinking that she's going to die.
okay.
So that's also a factor in that. So he's just going crazy.
yeah,
And then he looks down and he's like, okay, I got to get out of this. I got to get out of this. Now, it's never been established ever that he's, before this comic book, it's never been established that he's had any type of like strength.
right.
Not exactly. Like, not exactly that he does, that he's a
Yeah,
superhuman.
he doesn't have the proportional. Strength.
Right. Later on,
Yeah.
they add that in, but like this was kind of the
Right.
first time. And this is where you can argue. I'll give you this. I'll concede this. At this time, Stanley's doing lots of stuff.
Yes.
He's writing lots. He's scripting lots of books.
Well, yeah, mostly this Fantastic
This was
Four.
33, which means Fantastic Four would have been on closer to 50.
Yeah, so he's
He's
in a
spreading.
long run.
He's spreading thin on. He's writing X-Men. There's a lot going on.
Right. Yeah.
So the artist pretty much drew the book, and then he scripted the book.
Correct.
So
And,
Ditko decided that
John.
there was going to be about 3 to 4 pages of just him being buried,
Yeah.
and then with little heads, meaning like little like ghost heads.
Yeah, ghost heads popping
Of
up.
like of so
yeah.
and then he may have guided and say, okay, well, this is what I'm thinking is going on, and then Stanley has to go back and script all this stuff.
Great job, Steve.
I'll figure it out.
You
Here
did
we
a great
go.
one.
Great
and I'm
Emeritus.
going to enjoy this credit 20 years from now. I'm going to enjoy stealing this credit from you, Steve. You really made a great issue out of this.
Right.
Thank you, Mr.
But they did it in the
Thanks,
movie
Ditko.
where it has like 2 minutes where you're sitting there, you're like, is he getting out of this?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, I was like,
waiting
I don't
for Iron
really
Man
know.
to come in. I was waiting for like something to help him.
Yeah, and I was like,
It was
what are we doing? Like, it was almost like Toy Story 3 level. So Toy Story 3,
when they're looking at each other, when they're about to go,
they're about to go in the
furnace.
incinerator, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I'm watching a Holocaust film with my kids.
Yeah, and I'm like, how are they going to get out of this? Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Which is the only real moment in the entire Toy Story 3. That's the only salvageable
Yeah, pretty much,
moment in that.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that so bad, but it's kind of messy.
But
I was like, oof. Like, but that
Yeah.
just like killed me.
But when he's
There's
like,
stakes in this movie. There's like heavy
yeah,
stakes
and
in
when
this
he's
movie.
crying, and when he's like he's above him, like he's in the situation finally, like because he was just warned, you're in the situation way over your head,
Yeah, yeah.
and now you are you are in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
and there's
No one's gonna help you.
yeah, and it's just like, man, like you felt that like one, and people criticize this, but I don't care. The geek in me loved when he looks into the reflection and he sees the
Oh,
split.
that's fucking perfect.
When they split that,
That's so perfect.
just like, god damn, they even got that into the movie. They
Yeah.
split it. They did the fucking split.
That's
Like,
perfect.
And just like, man, you know,
I like that he was masked so much in the film, so much, and they didn't just burn the half of it off where he lost his mask.
yeah, like Spider-Man 2,
because
or
like that
when
was
he's
just like, come
yeah.
on. So like he was in a fucking ton. Like
Yeah.
he's just in it, and I just think it's nuts. Like that scene was so successful. And later on, like, you know, my girl was like, "What the fuck was wrong with you during that scene?"
Aw.
And I was like, "She's like, that was a good scene, but like, what was wrong with you?" And I was like, "That scene was from Maze Runner 38. I read that when I was like 10. I had a Marvel Masterworks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've read that story.
And,
you know?
and I'll say this about them. We're going to do a geek callback right now to our lives. I will always credit Wizard Entertainment for doing an emphasis on that scene and that issue.
Mm-hmm.
That
was a countdown or something, right?
They created low hanging fruit with that. They highlighted it, and they continuously went back to it for about 10 years. Okay, that became one of their go-to like comic scenes. But my one gripe, and I got this from watching. So my original gripe went away, which was like the Civil War type thing. Okay, I was watching Civil War, and I kind of forgot that they referenced Red Wing.
Mm-hmm.
So Falcon wants her to address the drone as Red Wing, and he goes, "You're not going." And he's like, "You're not going to call him that. I call him Red Wing." And she's like, "I'm not calling him that," which was kind of funny. And then it flies off. So we have now a cinematic movie reference to Red Wing, which is one of the stupidest comic book ideas on Earth. That the Falcon has a
Falcon.
That the Falcon
literally has a Falcon.
That the Falcon has a Falcon. These are the things we never want to see ever again. Period. They do in the movie. It's awesome, right?
And it works.
Works sense, but
Yep.
we cannot say that thing is the Vulture. We have a cinematic Red Wing, but we technically do not have a Vulture.
Yeah, but it's a different context. I mean, like it's everyone playing in the sandbox. So like if you have the Avengers, like you're Black Widow, I'm Hawkeye. Like everyone has code names.
Right.
You know, well, we did have a spider drone in this. Like it was a drone. Yeah. It's drone technology.
Dude,
so
So here's the thing. So they kind of did. Who was it? Grant Morrison that destroyed Batman, or Warren Ellis? Grant Morrison. Okay, so they Morrisoned Spider-Man the way that Morrison failed to do with Batman, meaning they brought the campy, stupid ideas in, and they put them into this movie through Stark technology. So that's like your MacGuffin, or like your Ex Machina, like your kind of like magic wand, because like the Spider Chasers never really worked, never made any sense. Him having, like the drone, which is kind of like the spider buggy, and him being able to like call that stupid, but it's all of that is in this movie, and they took the campiness, the things that are now dismissed in Spider-Man lore, and they put them into this movie, and you just accept. That's what I mean about this. Spider-Man is a different version. This is we never seen this before, and that is what is truly exciting, because I feel like with this next movie, like the next time we see him, they can do nearly anything they want. We can sit down and be surprised by the character.
Well, I don't know how he's going to come. I don't know how it's going to work, because right now, I wish there was a. They said the second they call it Homecoming 2, but I don't know what the hell it's going to be called.
Yeah,
but the second
it's minutes after.
Right.
Yeah.
After Infinity War 2, the second Avengers film.
Right.
But he's going to be on space. Listen, man, he's a kid from Queens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he gets beat up at Coney Island.
Yeah.
Now he's going to get out of space with Peter Quill. Like, it's going to just be going to mess him up.
But is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
See, this is a little bit of my pushback with Norm, when Norm's like,
I assume he is, only because of that one sequence where you see
him and Iron Man
and Peter and Chris Pratt.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I swear to God, there is so much about that I can't even assume because they're so consistently surprising
Yeah.
that they have a plan of action, they have a path, and
How do you even make that movie? Can you fucking like? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like,
the concept artwork with him, with Rocket Raccoon, with Thor,
yeah.
and you're just like, okay, like this is where that had the same effect on me when I saw the concept artwork for Red Skull in Captain America, where I'm like, dude, he's in black leather, he is the Red Skull outside the Nazi symbol, like the swastika, which is okay, like I'll accept that, no problem. Yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
But like where I was just like, oh my god, they are like they're going full retard. They're going full retard.
Never go full retard.
and it's working. Yeah, I mean
I don't know.
there is zero
So good.
there's zero anticipation that I have for the Infinity War, because I swear to God, I do not trust myself in trying to figure out that movie and determine it. There's just nothing like. Why would I torture myself? These guys have a plan. They have a book that they've written that they're following, and you know what? I'm like so grateful that that they figured it out. It's almost it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling that we're 15, 16 movies in.
I think it's just 16.
16. Like, what is that? We thought the Pixar streak was something. We thought the Harry Potter streak was something, even though like that strict adaptation.
Right.
This is like
This is unprecedented. This is just crazy.
never going to be recreated ever.
No.
The best hope to recreate this is Tom Cruise.
No, it's not. It's already failed.
Tom
It's
Cruise in the
failed.
Dark Universe.
You gotta have to start with like, but say you can still go back to like Iron Man 1 as Iron Man. Is that the best? Like, what would we? I mean, I can't rank this yet because it's still processing.
Yeah,
All I know is that
I want
like
to see it again too.
everything this year since we've been sitting here for the most part, has been like the last movie I wanted to see again was Force Awakens. Like when I first saw it, that's literally the last movie. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to see that movie again.
Yeah.
This is the next movie where I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to see this like 5-6 times. Like I don't know, like I can't wait to see this again.
Yeah, it was.
I can't wait.
It was the Baby Driver.
Yeah,
it was
which is what I wanted. I wanted a Baby Driver. I didn't get it. Like, and I feel like I'm justified. But I do think I did try to explain this to someone else where I was saying like, hey, look, I feel that we are on a certain track here. Things are very polarizing. The critics have this, and they're like, this is it. This is the thing we should like. This is everything we should. This is what we believe should make sense.
Yeah.
This should be worth it. But and also I think that with Wonder Woman was graded on a curve. Where Wonder Woman got like a 93, 94, where it's an 85.
Yeah. Well,
but because it's much better than we expected, it gets pulled up.
Yeah. Right.
But I can't say this enough. I'm so happy it just keeps making money. I'm never going to be unhappy with that movie making money. It's consistently going. It's making a lot of money worldwide. It's going to end up beating a lot of movies that have a lot more tout and cost a lot more.
Right.
And that movie was just kind of a singular production. I'm happy with every bit of that production.
Well, I think the
movie that was sold to me, my biggest crime, my biggest thing, the thing that makes me the craziest. I know I'm cutting you off like 100 times.
No, it's okay.
But like, is that I'm not being sold the movie that I go see. That's the thing that's pretty much my thing.
Yeah.
I go into a movie and I'm like, and then Rogue One was the biggest perpetrator of that, being like, that like they had 57 shots that were not in the film. That's fucking crazy to me, and it makes me insane.
It's crazy
now.
It's crazy that you even know that.
You can watch it. There's a YouTube clip of it. You can watch it right now. It's like 8 minutes of footage that they were cut together from either behind the scenes footage or actual footage from trailers and clips and trailers and TV spots and. God damn it. Like,
wow.
And I'm never going to see that movie. And I just don't want them. I don't want that. So I almost feel that Marvel has their own thing. And it's almost like, in a way, it's like chaos. Like, it's almost like, I almost feel like that like, I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of so loose. It's so put together and so loose at the same time. It's fascinating.
Yeah. And even with this, knowing what the position they put on Captain America, meaning that he's widely considered a war criminal. And knowing that he's with the Black Panther movie coming out, now I'm almost like, well, okay, he's obviously in that movie. Is Bucky just? Well, Bucky's frozen there. Yes, I don't know. Bucky's
They're gonna drop someone in it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They're gonna drop someone in it.
But Captain America was. I thought he was getting refuge in Wakanda at the end of.
I don't remember. The end of it,
yeah, but this is what I'm talking about. To where like they're even pushing Black Panther as a movie.
Mhm.
They know Black Panther has enough for that. Like like it's enough of a character. There's enough hype for it to be this. But then they have a back door for this like other aspect, and I feel like they would have done that with Homecoming, but there was this idea that the excitement for Homecoming was Civil War, so it became like what was almost advertised as like a team up movie kind of like feeling, but that was like through.
There is a scene in the trailer. I will say there's two scenes in the trailer.
But see, like
there's only two though, and one was repurposed. One was he says you're not the Avengers. Hulk gives it away. He doesn't. That's not the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's a sequence where they're flying together. Iron Man and Spidey are flying together at one point.
Yeah,
and that's gone.
I'll tell you one thing.
That's okay.
But I wasn't even expecting that to be in the movie because to me that seemed like a trailer shot. Like I'm like, oh, that's a perfect way.
That's fine with that.
Yeah, but okay. Any when's the next time you're going to be back?
Oh, so I have one last thing on here.
Oh, one more.
So I have this chaos list. We should take it. Well, it's all crossed out. But I should take a picture of that.
Yeah.
Like, so I pretty much write my chaotic brain onto a piece of paper, and then we kind of go through and try to kind of maintain the focus in this.
Without Mark crying.
Yeah.
During the process.
We'll see.
There's a lot of tears on that.
They ain't over yet. They ain't over yet is what I'm saying. All right. But looking it over, so again, I'm super excited to see this movie again. The only movie this year I wanted to see again was Get Out, and I saw that 3 or 4 times. Saw it twice in the theater, and it's not that it doesn't get better. It's just it's exactly what it is. This has a lot of layers to it because it has a lot more history in it. But I love Get Out. So Get Out I still keep.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of rank. I'm gonna have to do like a mid-year rank. It's
okay.
July.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw lots of movies, and I'm going to see.
We'll wrap the show after this.
But I have one thing I would have changed. Okay. And I discussed this earlier. We were at lunch, and I had such a good burger for lunch, and a good milkshake.
Where from?
It was in East Hampton, West Hampton. I don't know. It was at like this
place?
It was in. It is. It's like
okay.
I don't remember the name of it.
Have you had the burgers up the street? Have you had the Prohibition burger up here?
Yes. Okay. I had it with the fries. I love their fries. Their fries are nuts. We're gonna do that now. We should go do that. I want burger. Right
actually, if you want to do a burger, so here's the thing. I'm kind of feuding with them, even though they did a nice call out to me on social media.
You're fighting with the bar right up the street.
Yeah.
Your local bar.
Yeah. But if we cut across the parking lot and we go to Brick and Mortar has a.
Oh, I know a guy that works there. I'm pretty sure I know Nick works there. If Nick's there.
I think I know Nick.
Nick Berkowitz.
Okay, I think I know him.
Okay. Let's see if he's there.
So here's the thing: they have like a double seared burger, and there's only a few. Like the way you double sear a burger is you need a it's almost like an arm that goes over the grill that sears it on the top and bottom equally, like right away. Okay. And there's only they're expensive. There's only a few places that even have them. Okay, and if they're still doing it, it's like I don't know what the blend is. I don't know if it's like buffalo and beef or whatever, or like the style of chuck. But it is such. I think it's one of the best burgers now, like in the city. It supersedes what they got up here at Prohibition. That's where we should go. That's the point I was getting at. Okay, so we can do that. So tell me about your one.
You're gonna fight with me about getting a burger. I'm like total jughead, super jughead. In that sequence.
You are jughead.
Well, okay, just real quick. We didn't do supporting cast. Cast. So sidekick. We good with Ned?
Pee Wee from Popeye.
I would gladly pay you Tuesday. You can buy a burger and I'll pay you Tuesday.
We only do extremely obscure comic book references here. Jughead's just too mainstream.
Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Jughead's
I think that's almost pretty mainstream as well. Okay, so would you go sidekick, Ned? Good. B plus.
He
man in the chair. He's the man in the chair.
Well, I was gonna say that was such a cool thing because he got his moment as as Parker got his moment. Like, you know, like Parker, they all got their moments. Like,
he wasn't exactly Han Solo saved the day, but he was there enough that it made a difference.
It's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. I'm the man in the chair.
Yeah, and I was like watching.
That's a funny joke too. When he gets caught, he's like, "I'm watching porn." Like, you know what I mean? Like, that seems freaking hilarious.
I even like when he was like, "There's always a guy in the chair," and I'm like, "Fuck, you're right. There always is a guy in the chair. Like, why is there always a guy in the chair?"
I'm the man in the chair. I'm the man in the chair.
And then I'm like thinking about like the Flash TV show.
They have a team in the chair.
And the parts I don't like is that. Like, the parts of that show that I've seen, I'm like, what are they, like...
It's Team Flash.
Well, it's almost like the guy can literally move through time.
But he's just not smart enough to get through.
What do you... He can read a library in a quarter second. He can read a library in a quarter second. What... And that's... And not even that. It never comes off.
Kavanaugh needs a job.
It just never comes off as...
They kill him... every episode.
They do. They really.
They keep killing him. He's like Kenny from South Park, and they just like they'll bring him back in a different way or different.
Kenny from South Park.
It's like the same thing.
So I would say thumbs up on him. I thought he was the audience in the movie. Like
he's the exposition.
I thought.
He's also he's every question you had. You're like, okay, can you and what was cool is all those questions happened in the comics.
Yeah.
He's like, do you spit venom? Like, is there venom? Like, what's up? And like, and then he's like, do you control an army spider? Yeah, he does. And like a drone army superior Spider-Man does that. So there's like every question he asked him is a thing. Do you lay eggs? What's up for do you lay eggs? That's really funny though.
Yeah.
So that worked. It's Michelle Jones.
Yeah.
She is becoming MJ, I suppose. And I'm fine with it. I think that's interesting.
Whatever. Yeah.
I didn't need that button. I didn't care.
But that doesn't mean
she's Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club. I like her in detention because she doesn't be in detention. That's a callback.
And I like her drawing people in misery. And
that's hilarious.
And they use the 3 rule in that too. By the third time we saw it, you were like, I was expecting. I thought it was great, but yeah. So
she drew a cool Peter. I thought that was really funny. So I thought it was fine with that. Liz was the flattest. Now the twist was a visible gasp. So the twist of because that's the thing. He loses the internship, technically, which is basically losing Spider-Man. He loses the costume. And then it's a high school film. And they didn't talk to one another. When I talked to a girl in high school, I didn't talk to them like, hey, I'm talking to you. I'm face to face to you. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't even talk to you. They literally like talk to like a cabinet of trophies. They didn't talk to one another.
Yeah, you're not making eye
So that's
contact.
pretty fun. I thought so then he takes her to the prom. And then you're like, okay, he answers everything in class. He's on the debate team.
Yeah.
Like, my life's going back to normal. And I almost forgot. This was the crazy part. I was like,
that you were watching
I'm enjoying this Peter Parker film right now.
That's what and a lot of people said that was the stuff that dragged.
I don't feel any of that.
Yeah, and this is, I addressed this last night or earlier today when I woke up, where I kind of referenced this moment with my sister and I, where like I kind of asked her, like, do you have any joy in life? And because we were like at a rough patch like years ago, and I feel like the people that don't appreciate this movie don't really appreciate life, and they're not able to relate to moments. They don't see themselves in moments because it's so easy today. The low hanging fruit that people go for today is to be jaded. It's to be like highfalutin. It's to you have to come off like a film critic, and so you come in wanting something to be bad to validate where you are, and that's just the state of the union. This is where we are when it comes to like film theory, conversation, film talk, and for me it's work to detach myself. It's work to be able to just to sit down, and trust me, the alcohol helps. The alcohol helps, but you're just able to sit down and do a brain dump and see who you are, put yourself in these situations. And that's what I mean about, like, he had such an angst as a young superhero, which we never saw before, and he had such a young angst in a teenager, and he couldn't decide which was more important, what to do. He's juggling both, like, and I would have been like the one scene I guess I would love to have had in this would be him sleeping out of exhaustion. like, and just having that
But
go
just leaving the costume, just be like,
right.
even the costume all like jumbled up.
Yeah,
Like just like when it like expands like a big sock. You know
right,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like you know, just be
like a sleeping bag.
that'd be
or
awesome.
something.
Yeah.
Because like he's the only character that lends itself to, again, like blue collar, like working your finger to the bone, having your back up against the wall, trying to figuring out, not having resources, but
Well, that was the J. Michael Straczynski. He was, I think he fell. He was exhausted and he slept, and then she walked in, and then he was sweating. He was like in the costume.
Yeah.
You know.
And I thought there was like, what was the moment? Was there a moment in the other Spider-Man movies where I thought there was a moment where Tobey Maguire crashed out like on a bed as Spider-Man?
No.
I don't know.
It wasn't that impactful if neither of us remember.
Yeah, maybe
I'm
just imagining. But yeah. So
okay, so my editing
is
this.
editing.
So this is what I would have done. Okay. So the ending button is this. So the ending is he says, "No, I don't want your Iron Spider costume.
Right.
I'm going to go back to Queens, and I'm just going to kind of try to figure it out. I'll wear my old costume. I don't give a shit." So he walks into his room, and there's a bag there, and said, "This is for you," or he says like, "This belongs to you." T.S. I don't know exactly what it says. Doesn't matter. It's his original Spider-Man. So what he does, he puts it on right away. First, when he walks in, he says, "May." Like, are you making? Doesn't call her Aunt May, by the way.
Yeah.
And so he's like, May. Then nothing happens, and then so he puts on the costume, and he's just kind of like he's in it. Then he takes the mask off, and then you see her in the background, completely out of focus, not even completely in the frame, and she's like, "What the?" And then it cuts. What the fuck? But it cuts, and it goes right to Ramones, and then has a really fun, and you're just like, and it's such a high. You're like, oh, and it's such a high. But here's the issue: mid-credit sequence is what?
Oh, the I don't know. Like I don't know what that was.
It's Vulture in jail with Mac Gargan,
Potentially,
which is Scorpion. Yeah, it's Mac. They talked to him earlier. Now, the Scorpion, I think, beat him up by accident, like when he was leaving the ferry. Okay. So that's why he's got like the thing in his face, and he got caught right there.
Okay.
So Vulture's really the reason he's in jail. So that's a little bit of it, but that's not super clear. And then he says, "Hey, I know you know who Spider-Man is. It's word through on the street is you know who Spider-Man is."
Right.
And then he says, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
And then it ends. And you're like, all right, well, maybe is he redeemable? Doesn't really matter. And then it goes to credits, and then it goes to the Cap joke, which is funny. Because guess what? It's not a Marvel Universe film. It's not connected exactly. It's not going to move into... It's not supposed to go into that.
Yeah. Well,
so that was a funny button. I thought that was fine.
Yeah. Well, it was similar to the... what was it, Iron Man 3, where he's talking with Bruce Banner.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
It was a nothing.
And
yeah.
I think it's important that they do that because there's such a weird like expectation or emphasis. Like they kind of did that to a little bit Guardians of the Galaxy too, where
it was nothing.
Again, but they were just endlessly mocking credit sequences in Guardians by just adding 5 or 6 of them. Like
yeah, but I think it's wrong because like even if it shit, man, some of the first ones didn't even add up.
No.
Like the one that they don't even add. They have Stellan Skarsgård being possessed by Loki.
Yes.
They don't even do that in the next film. Like you know what I mean? Like they
even Tony Stark forming the Avengers.
No, it's not.
And then they had the donut shop scene where they say, "Well, we took you off because of your psych test."
Right. You're never even part of it.
Yeah, but then it's like, now we're reforming it and you're okay. Like, it's just like, okay.
They were trying to just see what, like, but I almost feel that, like,
they
it
were
needs to be.
waters.
And even with the shitty one with Thanos, he's like, well, no one's doing it for me. I'll do it myself. Then he grabs the and leaves. I'm like, whatever. So with this is how I would have done it. I would have done that. He's walking away. He's going back to Queens. Then the prison sequence.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you can and then maybe with him seeing the bag.
Yeah.
Then cut right to the Ramones, and then mid-credit, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, like,
because that's a better high. Because you're on that high,
yeah.
And then you're taken down with Adrian Toomes in jail, and then you're taken down even further with Cap's like, you shouldn't have sat here the whole time, you bunch of dummies.
I know,
and we're like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. I get it. It's funny.
Uh-huh.
I would have flipped that.
Dude, but
if this is all I have a problem with, and even that I don't even know if it'll really work. Who cares? This movie, it's a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
It's a fucking miracle.
And the thing is, end credit sequences are supposed to be like kind of little extensions or epilogues. They're not this expected thing. They're not this. They're kind of more missed than they are hits, right?
Right.
Like I think if we stack them up, there's more. Like the only one people care about is Thanos.
I'm trying to grab a random comic book just to try to see if there's an epilogue here.
Oh,
of just like anything. Just as an example of
Wolverine
this.
50.
Yeah, so here's a Wolverine 50. Everything's kind of done, and then all of a sudden, the last 3 pages, the X-Men are there.
Right.
So here we go. This is the last 2 pages. X-Men are here. He's like, all right.
Yeah, that's
Logan, what about this?
The big.
I guess what he's going to be doing. He'll be coming. He's just going to be back.
Well, it doesn't even matter. Like if they change writers between that issue, between like, for example, Wolverine 50 and 51, the next writer, the setup could be like, hey, he's with the X-Men. The next writer could ditch the X-Men in the first page.
Right. Which is exactly what happened in the movies.
Yeah.
The guy went a different way.
Right.
Sorry.
And that's the trade-off, but you get good things out of that. Like, because what you do is you do get chaos. You get someone that's hired to write a comic. They're out of their comfort zone sometimes. And that's where like is born through fire. You get good things by coming out of your comfort zone.
Well, a lot of times the writers either set it up that it's completely clean. Here's a clean, nice sandbox, or they fuck them over.
Yeah, well,
which I think is also kind of fun too.
I think the fuck them over position breeds better. Yeah, and real quick, like let me just go on this real quick, and we'll end it. There's that comic you picked up. Mark picked up Wolverine. Volume 2, issue 50.
Larry Hama, Mark Silvestri.
Which is probably the best run ever for Wolverine. Easily. Okay. Do you think, like, we're just going to talk comics. Do you think have you ever considered the negative consequences of Image? Like the formation? Like outside of late books, that's the low hanging fruit everyone wants to go to. So let me tell you, and I've been going through a lot of my books and just unloading stacks on eBay and wherever else I could. So I'm just seeing a lot of stuff. So I guess part of the scenario, and this occurred to me when I was going through a stack of Daredevil comics, like 30 to like 45, and there was like every single cover, just about new character, okay, and a part of like just where my like logic is that like you're hired to work on Daredevil, you're working at the Marvel bullpen. We're going back to the 60s here, and you want to keep your job, right? Like you don't even want to get thrown off the book because like you've maybe like you're in the stride of nailing the look for Daredevil. So if that book slips, like you're losing a lot. So you're incentivized with the writer or whoever, even the editor, to maintain sales and pump them up, and the best way to do that is to put just new characters in. Like you kind of even X-Men leading from like giant size X-Men. Like there's so much new per cover in that Cock run, and then John Byrne, and then like Image Comics hits, and it's all creator rights. It's all I think McFarlane said it best when he said like the bar was low for what would have kept us. Like the bar was low. They essentially wanted merchandise money. They wanted money for T-shirts and been told their artwork was being used and getting like a T-shirt. Like they wanted very little. Okay, and this was a boom period, so the type of money was just unfathomable compared to what's available now. And so Image leaves, and they take this banner of creator rights with them. So now they create a generation that's paranoid to create characters and put them in comics. And now we've like since the early 2000s, like we've had a run of people maintaining storylines, drawing them out, like just ending things and where another writer would pick it up, which we never had before. Like that really wasn't a thing, right? That's like a
Mhm.
modern era technique or
Well, it's used
editorial
for
position.
the drivers are different. So the drivers are the sales, and the sales come from marketable collections
Yeah,
or big
correct.
collections.
Well, yeah, but they
So
also
like Moon Knight, like I just talked about Moon Knight. So like it's like okay, we have this Moon Knight run
yeah,
by like David Finch, completely different than the next run by Warren Ellis, but completely
they
different than Warren. It's
also
all different.
created that and wedged that through editorial decisions,
Mhm.
meaning that they wanted to push trade paperbacks, so they created content driven towards trade paperbacks. Okay, so there was like an organic aspect from that too that was stripped away. So now we have like an age of comics where everyone's paranoid to inject new characters and it's the stupidest reason. It's the stupidest reason. All right. So someone's playing some music. It might be below us. I think they're doing construction below us again. It might be the guys working. I don't know, or it could be down the hall. Well,
I wasn't sure what was going on.
but there's also construction down the hall too. I'm surrounded by
Mm.
construction right now. But no, and then we have like this era where people just you're told to like end a storyline. So we have like these two conventions that created everything that they're mining now for outside of a couple big ideas. But everything that they're mining now still comes from like pre-90s. What they're cherry picking 90s forward is they're just pulling some of these big ideas, which are like by design, which is very different. And I don't know, like there's a lot. I think I kind of where I'm at now. What I'm getting at is that I think the formation of Image Comics did far more harm
Mm.
than it ever did that was beneficial. Like it decentivized people to put in new characters, which is the craziest thing because all the books, all the characters we love consistently had like new villains. Like they pumped up villains. But it makes sense because it's like, oh, how like we gotta sell this book. Vulture, we gotta sell this book. Rhino, we gotta sell this book. Scorpion, we gotta sell this book. Mysterio,
You got to have adversity for the character that you're
yeah,
akin to, and then an idea, an idea, an idea.
and I just feel like if they did that, if there was like a new, like let's say they brought back Night Thrasher, right? They bring back Night Thrasher.
But even when they did, well, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't bring back Night Thrasher. But the
He's got a skateboard. He's got a skateboard.
I almost think they are. I almost think that.
Nightsticks.
Oh, you know what? They are bringing New Warriors back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with the
They're doing a
the
television
Hulu
show, but they are doing a new comic, which is reversing it, meaning that the things that they put together for the show, they're making a comic that
Okay.
won't exactly line up.
Gotcha.
So the characters they pitched for the show
yeah.
are going to be in this comic that's coming out.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they are bringing it back.
Yeah.
But I will flip that and say that you're right. Well, it's not really flipping if I'm saying you're right. But what I mean by that is
Don't
that
you flip my shit.
so like when you think about the most famous Marvel characters, they're all created like right now. Like the new Marvel characters are what? The two new movies, like Venom and Deadpool, right? They're the new.
Yeah, right.
That's the extreme, but that's 25 years ago, like or more.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: Venom and Deadpool came from an era where it's like you put things on the cover to sell.
Mm.
Deadpool premiered with two other characters, Gideon and Domino.
Right. I don't know. Gideon's gone.
Yeah, that was. I think he's dead now. That was like Rob Liefeld saying, "Please buy it." Like
Here's three villains.
Okay,
How about that?
Yeah, and McFarlane did the same exact thing. They're like, "Hey, this," and he's like, "This would look cool on a cover."
Right.
Here,
Let's do it again.
please
Bring it
take
back.
it.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Okay.
But that being said, like Batman, what's the most popular Batman run in the last 5 years?
What? Court of Owls?
Yeah, those are new villains.
Right.
That's a new villain. Like that's what I mean. Like so
100%.
that's
Yeah.
that's the point. The point you're making is that I'm like so just do it. Just do new villains.
Just you got
That's the point. If you have characters that are sustaining, Batman's 75 years old, older than that actually. Wonder Woman, all of them the same.
like-
So,
Yeah, it's a funny thing. 'Cause,
but
like,
you are right though, where people are they're paranoid, like or it's mandated that that there could be future lawsuits, and if you're not work for hire, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
so
and I know the part of the X-Men editorial was that they didn't want anything new because they did not want to feed the Fox IP.
they don't want it to go to Fox, right?
Yeah.
However, now before the trailer, before the movie, did you get a gifted trailer?
No.
I got it in my theater, and I looked at it, and I forgot that I saw this trailer.
Yeah.
And I forgot that it was X-Men, and guess what?
Yeah,
it's just not.
Yeah, we
Why did you make an X-Men show? X-Men show. And you forgot to write X-Men in the title.
Yeah.
I hope. I mean, it's not out yet. I just hope that someone's like, you know, it'd be cool. Maybe we'll call it X-Men Gifted, because no one gives a shit. Like, so Gotham, right? Gotham is pretty universal. We know it's not Batman, but we know Gotham is. And then they subtitle it as something for the season. Great, and that's on season 7 or something.
And
for
here's
fuck's
the
sakes.
thing: the Dark Knight lore, Batman lore, is the only one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it doesn't care. It's infectious. People even know the sub characters for that. They know Commissioner Gordon.
Well, they do now. I mean, I think Gotham is not for us. It's for my dad. Yeah. Like, it's for other people. My people mother fucking love it.
My mother loves it. I remember my mother during Christmas telling me and my one friend, she's like, you gotta watch Gotham. The next season's the rise of the villains.
Right.
And she's like all excited.
you know these villains. You know all of them.
And I'm like, no, I don't accept a Batman universe where the villains are 20 years older than the protagonist.
Yeah, I still go to the Gotham.
They're going to be 40 or 50 by the time he's like roundhousing dudes. He's going to go through them like they're nothing.
I think he's teenage Batman. They've been rumoring that he's going to be teenage Batman like next season now. Somehow, in some way.
I think they already did it. I thought the season. He did. I thought the season finale was him as teenage Batman.
Yeah,
but he's like Frank Miller, Daredevil, Black, like he's in his own
he's in ski mask.
Yeah, or whatever. All right. You want to go get some burgers? You got time?
Yeah, it's always
7:30. I don't know what time. I don't know what time.
There's always a good time for burgers.
So, I'd like to say it. All right, let's rock and roll. When's
good
the next
one?
time?
46.
Yeah, great one.
That's good. We'll figure it out.
Okay, so we'll do an episode. We'll figure it out.
Trailer trash talk.
Trailers. Yeah, we could.
It'd be trailer trash talk. Trash talk. Here's a bunch of things that I like a lot, but I can't recommend to anyone. We'll keep doing my segments, the ones that make no sense to people.
I've been taking. I keep a notepad now of what I've been watching.
I consume ridiculous shit.
So
I actually really like. You know what we'll do next? Like, and even if you don't watch it, I'm actually pretty impressed with season 2 of Preacher. I didn't finish season 1.
Okay.
And I watched the first 3 episodes of season 2.
And it's better.
It's way better.
Okay.
And the momentum of Santa Killers is scary.
Wow. Okay.
He's scary.
Okay.
Like, I was like, okay, I don't think everything's working exactly.
Yeah.
But it's very watchable.
You
very, very watchable.
I'll say this before we leave. Do you know the only like television show that I'm actually watching that I'm actively watching?
Bachelorette.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yes, 100% true. Well, because one of the girls comes over Monday night and we watch it. I'm gonna be watching it tomorrow.
Okay.
That show's insane.
That's what Peaks tonight.
Yeah.
That's why it's half why we're recording early.
Oh, is it?
It's a little bit why we're recording early.
Oh, I thought you were just trying to make my life easier. I guess
no, everything has to do with David.